Hello, this is Susan Poss. We are still working in Chapter 5, Section 6, and this is the second video. Now we're looking at squaring binomials. Remember, a binomial is a polynomial expression that contains two terms. And I have an example here of a binomial. I've given you x minus 7 and put the exponent 2, so that's the way it looks when you see a binomial squared. And what that means is that you use that base x minus 7 as a multiplier twice. So I'm going to do it the long way first, and then I'm going to go over to the side and talk about the rule. So using F.O.I.L, what we just finished practicing, I'll do first times first. Then I'll do outside, outer. And then I'll do inner. And then finally I'll do last times last. So that's the way it looks when you go through the F.O.I.L process. First, outer, inner, last. And as we saw before, you can notice here that we have these two terms in the middle that need to be combined. And I hope you notice that that term is the same term, negative 7x, negative 7x. So what happens when you're squaring binomials is that these two terms in the middle always match up and cause that middle term that you end up with to double up. So you see that that doubling there is an important part of the process. So if you look over at the rule over on the right-hand side, let's look at the second one first because this is the one that's got the minus in the center. The shortcut, or following the rule, means you take the first term and you square it. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. You take the first term and you square it. There, that's better. And then you multiply these two terms together in here and double. So that's where you see the negative 2a times b coming from. That's the doubling of that product. And then for the last step, and this is always a positive on the end, you square the second number. Oops, and I see a mistake back over here. That should be a 49. For some reason, I wrote 47. All right, so I'm going to work just a couple of examples for you down here, and I've decided to do them using the rule, and also I'm going to do them using F.O.I.L. So let me come down here with F.O.I.L. If I take this binomial and I square it, that means I write it out 2 times as a multiplier. And then I do first times first, outer product, inner product, and last times last. All right, so you see how that ends up. And some of you may want to just do that all the time. If you go back up and use the rule, you can see that we took the first term and we squared it. Then we formed the product of these two terms, which is the positive 3b, and we doubled it. Again, you see why we doubled it, because down here you can see that this middle term appears twice. And then we took the last term and we squared it. All right, so let me go to this next one. X plus 7 is a binomial, and it is being squared. So I'm going to write this down twice. I'm going to use F.O.I.L on this. So first times first, outer, inner, last. And that one looks familiar to the first one that I did. And of course, if you look at the top part of this little frame here where I'm using the rule, I squared the first term. I formed the product of the two terms and doubled it. That's where the positive 14x comes from. And then I take the last term and square it. All right, so let's do 2 more and then we'll stop. So 3a minus 5 is a binomial. It is enclosed in parentheses, and it is being squared. So let me write that base 3a minus 5 down twice as a multiplier. And then I'm going to do first times first, outside, inside, and last times last. And of course you can see we end up with 9a squared. And here's the doubling of the minus 15a and the minus 15a to get minus 30a. And then here's the plus 25 on the end. Let me do that squared so it shows up a little bit better there. All right, and then the last one is 2y plus 2 quantity squared, or binomial squared. And again, that means that we write it down twice as a multiplier. So I've worked all of these using two different methods. You don't have to work them twice. You just work whatever process if you want to follow the rule, or if you want to just put this down using F.O.I.L and actually go ahead and expand it like that, that's fine too. All right, so one mistake that I often see from students when they see a binomial squared, they think they can just give me x squared plus 49. That is not true. Okay, so if it's m plus 3, that is not m squared plus 9. Okay, so watch for those common mistakes.